Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Wednesday Namaste session. We just finished watching a video called Follow the Fire. That has been our focus, really always, certainly this week, but that's really the only focus there is, to follow the fire within your own heart, leading you deeper into your own heart, which is just another way of saying deeper into the experience of who you are and who you've always been and where you've always been. The experience and the knowing that you never really left heaven, that the journey that you have been on and the weary bones that you think you have, when you wake up in heaven, you find that they have always been soft, they've always been fresh, and that the truth within you has always been renewed. So that is what happens when we follow the fire. It leads us directly into that experience. And so this morning, I just before session wrote down a few words, part of this little collection I've been working on. So let me share that, and then I'll turn it over to Vicki and see what she and Teddy and others have to say about it. So take a deep breath. And as you feel that call to follow the fire within your own heart, listen to these words and see where they guide you. Your legs have grown weary from the long journey you have walked, and your feet are cracked and calloused from the hardened path that stretches behind you. Yet, when you wake up from your dream, you will look down at your feet and find they are as soft as wool, and your legs are as strong as tree trunks. Then you will rejoice, knowing that the journey was not hard and the path was not long. It was a journey of the mind, an awakening to what has always been true. You'll remember those who walked next to you, everyone who had grown as weary as you once were, and you'll know that they awaken with you. And there is only one mind that sleeps, just as there is only one extension of the love of your Creator. You will bless these others, knowing that you are the only blessing yourself, that you are only blessing yourself with a capital S, and the one whose love for you was never threatened. Once again, you will bless these others, knowing that you are only blessing yourself, and the one whose love for you was never threatened. God does not wait for you in your dream, but only in your waking. That's a hard one for us to get. God does not wait for you in your dream, but only in your waking. God has no need to enter what was never true. You want to believe that God is in your dream and can guide you toward the fulfillment of your desires. But I'm telling you that there is no God there at all. There's no God in your dream trying to fulfill your dream desires. There is also no world and no need to change the world. There is only the dream's end when you open your eyes and see for the first time the heaven you never left. Then you'll realize that God never left your side as you imagined an impossible world. So this lesson today has so many different layers, and depending upon where we are in our mind in terms of letting go of that which was never real, that which never had any true effect, wherever we are in our mind with that, we'll be able to see and to feel and to know a deeper aspect of this teaching. You could take it on the surface and you'll gain some surface level understanding. Or you'll reject it completely. This makes no sense. What do you mean God's not in my dream? This is not a dream. Look, every morning I wake up in the same bed. I have the same friends. God is all around me. Isn't that what we're being taught? Well, yes, God is all around you every moment, but not in the mind that is holding a dream reality in a world that has no reality. The truth within you is sleeping, imagining all of this, and whatever you want to call God, whatever that really is, not some entity, not an old white man sitting next to you as you're in your bed, but whatever that is, we're using these analogies, we're using these images to try and understand something that cannot be understood by the mind. And we're just allowing them to teach us a deeper truth. And that truth is that the truth within you has never been threatened. The journey that you thought you were on that made your body ache from the effort was never really a journey at all. And when you awaken and realize that your muscles and your feet and all of those hardships never really had any effect, that's when you'll look around and say, thank God. Now I'm awake, and everyone wakes up with me. That's the other part of this. Of course, everyone wakes up with me because everyone that I've populated in my dream, which has real value here, but no true value outside of the awakening itself, when I realize that you are one within me and I am one within you. And so it's this awakening into the truth that has never changed. That's what this experience is. The awakening into the experience of who you are that has never been altered or challenged. And when you can relax into that and just allow that to take hold, then the awakening happens on its own. You don't have to worry about what happened to the others. They're there with you. You don't have to worry what's going on back there in that place you just left. There was nowhere that you just left. Just relax. Let this be simple. Because I know that there's something within each one of us. When we hear this message, something alights within us and we say, yes, I somehow knew this. I somehow felt this. But now that it's appearing before me, I can trust it. I can allow it to be the light that guides me home. That's how simple this is. So Vicki and Teddy, I'd love to hear what you guys have to share around this.
So great, Jimmy. That was a great way to wake up this morning to this. So, follow the fire can sometimes seem different. It's not always a passion for light or for love. Sometimes to follow the fire and break through the dreaming mind, sometimes the best way to do it is to relax into welcoming whatever is at hand. So very often, and this is all of our experience, I think, at times we feel disconnected. We don't feel that sense of joy or love. We feel miserable, or we feel emotionally distraught, or we feel lost. And the way to be found isn't by searching. It's by resting in and welcoming it. The Rumi poem, The Guest House, welcome in everything. Welcome, 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 welcome. Misery, sadness, whatever it is. Let it in, welcome it in. Have a seat. Let's meet, let's connect. Welcoming in, to me, has been one of the easiest, but most difficult. Simple, I would say. Not so easy to do, but simple. It doesn't take a lot of figuring out. There's no big book you have to read. You just are present and say, I know there's a greater reality than what I'm experiencing. There's got to be something more than this disconnect. So here I am. It's back to here I am, Lord. And I'm going to welcome in this feeling. And that might be the only fire I can find right now. That this misery or unhappiness that seems to be in front of me or consuming me, there's no way around it except through it. So welcome it in, relax in, and in welcoming it, it becomes a veneer for what is truly underneath the love that we truly are. But that's experiential again. It isn't something we can write about or study about. And to follow the fire of truth of being is sometimes, and actually always, to welcome ourselves as we are. To get through the dreaming mind by resisting it or seeking outside is a dead end all the time. It's just a list of distractions that come back to the same disconnect. But staying still, relaxing into what is, whatever it is, and welcoming it in allows it maybe to have it safe for a moment, but then after that, it fizzles out because we're not sustaining it with resistance anymore or with guilt. So follow the fire, even there.
I love that. I love that, Vicki. I mean,
And
what you're
Teddy's
saying,
yeah, go ahead.
what you're saying is so simple and so is so helpful, because when we hear a message like what we just heard, the first thought that may come into our mind is, well, that means we need to reject. And what you're saying, which is what I feel, is not rejecting, is welcoming. Welcome it all. It's when you take full responsibility and welcome it all in that you realize that it has no power outside my own mind. But I have to welcome it first. I can't say no. I have to say yes.
Right.
Welcoming in his way of saying yes, come on in, instead
That's
of no,
right.
stay out.
There's one other thing I'd like to say. When you were talking about love that is never threatened, the I am of who we are is never threatened by whatever dreaming we're doing. You know, good dream, bad dream, none of them are so. But the way we can find that out best is when we, in our, wherever we are, we never let the love we have for one another be threatened by activities, actions, behaviors, encounters, whatever's gone on. We may not want to engage in more activities with one another at certain times, but if we offer one another nothing but unthreatened union and love with our will, with our knowingness, then the facade of behavior and distancing and all the rest of it at some point has to drop away, because again, we're not sustaining it. And that's a discovery of how we, the truth of who we are, is always never threatened by the dreaming, no matter what it is.
Amen.
Amen. Here's Teddy on fire.
All right.
So it's interesting because one of the things you brought me back to is being an altar boy when I was in grammar school. And what we did was the incense burner there was cold charcoal in it, and you lit the incense burner, and at solemn high mass, you led the whole procession with the fire to the altar. Mm-hmm. And you incensed everybody around you with the incense burner, and the whole procession followed the fire to the altar. Mm-hmm. And, you know, what you're saying is it's like when it is, forget this course, forget this book, and come with holy empty hands unto the Father. And what's interesting to me is the word holy, H-O-L-Y, and holy, W-H-O-L-E-Y, are said the same way, and they mean the same thing. It's the wholeness, your whole hand. They're holy because they're whole. And it's just interesting that they're spelled differently, but the wholeness of the Spirit is what our holiness is. So, you know, we come with holy, empty hands unto the Father as we follow the procession, follow the fire to the altar where God resides.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember those days as well with the incense. And
yeah, right, with the incense.
Everyone. And...
That's right.
We have some of those, in case you want to do it again.
I'm sure I have one or two around here as well. Thanks, guys. Let's open it up here and see if there's anybody else who would like to share. Here in the Zoom room, we'll begin. Hey, Baraka, good to see you. I haven't seen you for a few days. You want to share anything, brother?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I've been on sort of a non-physical, mystical journey my last couple of days. And yesterday, I was reading Richard Rohr's message, and there was one sentence in there that really grabbed a hold of me and sent me off. And that was that, I don't know if I can quote it directly now, but it was something to do with grace forms a vacuum with which we wish to fill with the love of God. And it was so interesting to me that I am not seeking grace, but the grace of God within me is what seeks God, which wants to be filled by God, which can only be filled by God. Mm-hmm. And there's there's no other ingredients, there's no special formula, no rock or crystal or animal or vision of anything in this world that fills that void for me except for the love of God. It is what I seek and what I will only seek, because anything else will not bring me fulfillment. And so the last couple of days, I've been sort of just sitting with that idea, with that thought, with that desire, to go within to find what I want to fill myself with to begin with, and that is God's love.
That's beautiful, Baraka. In fact, I just had an image come to me from what you were sharing, and it just goes to show how the way of the physical universe is often the exact opposite of the way of heaven or the way of God. Because if you have magnets, we've all heard the saying opposites attract, right? So if you have a magnet and you have the north and the south, they're gonna come together. But if you put the likes, like a positive and a positive, or a negative, and they're going to reject each other. But what you're saying is the opposite, which is it is the God or the grace within us that attracts the grace that is all around us, or the God that is everywhere, right? Like attracts like. I don't know if that it just came into my mind, but it seems to make sense. Another way of seeing how don't trust what's happening here to teach you about heaven. Let heaven teach you about heaven. Does that make sense? Don't I mean we can form parables, and we can form stories that help us to relax into a state of grace where we can now receive an experience of heaven, but don't wait for this to teach you, because this is not anything but what you've dreamed it to be. You've dreamed this into reality. So opposites don't really attract, likes attract. It is the divine within you that is attracting and always calling forth the divine that is everywhere. And if we can just trust that and allow that to pull me wherever it needs to, then the experience immediately follows.